1,000 times. I think a big reason why a lot of people quit in Cataclysm is the raids were too hard. Like, you compare Wrath of the Lich King raids to Cataclysm raids were infinitely more difficult. They made the raids too hard in Cataclysm. The issue with WoW, the thing with WoW is the difficulty in raids used to be centered around getting into the raid, whereas now it's centered around the raid itself. Firelands, oh yeah, I'm sure you were able to complete Heroic Rag. But I mean, like, to be fair, Heroic Rag was like a separate difficulty all on itself. Yeah, Firelands was relatively difficult, but it was a lot hard. The first tier is mainly the one I'm talking about, like, right, tier 11. Tier 11, the difficulty jump between tier 10 ICC and tier 11 was massive, especially whenever you're talking about people having the 30% buff in ICC, which they had for like the majority of the time. So I actually think that them making raids harder was bad for the game. I think the raids nowadays are too hard. And the way that they solve that problem by having this overload of mechanics that people have to deal with is by just making the damage from those mechanics cosmetic. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do any damage. Like, I mean, unless you're doing something on like high level heroic at the beginning of the tier or on mythic, the damage doesn't even do anything. And I'm very, very disappointed about that. Palav with the 1800 viewer host, thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Yo, by the way, good luck getting into Classic Beta. It sucks that you're not in. I'm surprised they didn't invite you. Thank you very much for the host, man. Thank you, dude. Perfect example. Wait, what is this here? There's always going to be a meta spec. Old trees are better. I mean, like, in a lot of ways, yeah, but in some ways, no. I mean, like, it's more complex than that. Explain how a guy destroys metal robots in Westfall can break a rock in one swing. It's not about breaking the rock, Speedstorm. It's about extracting the valuable minerals from that rock. It's you don't even understand what's going on. Nice McCall, ret impression. Pepega, thank you much for the donuts. Appreciate that. Thank you. Listen, the point that I'm trying to make is that I think they made the raids too hard in Cataclysm, and because they made the raids too hard, they had to create a bunch of different difficulties because they were just too exclusive at that point. And it was a mistake making the raids that hard.
Vanilla WoW, the only way to gain experience was through killing monsters, turning in quests, and exploration, which gave an incredibly minor amount. So, if you want to level up your character, you had to go out and quest and grind a ton of mobs, which isn't really that bad. Unless you're doing it for the 10th time. Then you really want some alternative ways to level up a new character.
No, you don't.
And in the current game, in addition to the 3 ways of gaining experience from Vanilla WoW, you can also gain experience from battlegrounds, pet battles, gathering herbs and ore, finding treasures, completing a dungeon, and completing island expeditions.
I actually don't mind getting experience from battlegrounds, and I think that alternate ways of leveling is completely fine. I don't think that's bad. Getting experience from pet battles, I don't see that as a negative. Like, who really gives a fuck? Personally, I don't think it's a big deal. I don't. Ruins twinking? Not really, no. I mean, I don't see how it ruins twinking. And also, I'll be honest, guys, I've always thought twinking was for bad players that couldn't handle it at max level.
I'm sure there's a few other I'm missing, but those are the major things you can do if you really don't want to quest or grind monsters.
Well, that's why twinking died, right? Like, just think about it. That's why they made the experience off Battlegrounds. Twinking died. Why did it die? Because the truth is that people just wanted to buy advantages over players that just started the game because they were too fucking shitty and they couldn't handle it at max level, where at least Blizzard tried to balance the game. Right? They wanted to play low-level BGs with less mechanics, less abilities, less things to focus on because they were bad at the game, and they wanted to beat people that not only were new to the game, but they also had a huge gear advantage over. So then as soon as they put those people on an even playing field with other people that were just as much of a pathetic loser as they were, then the twinking bracket died because that's the only thing that they ever wanted to do in the first place.
Considering how many people got banned with the XP potion stacking bug, players are really looking for new ways to level their characters. So having all of these alternatives, or just them being additions to the regular stuff, is a much welcome change to the game. Number 2, more endgame content. In Vanilla WoW, endgame content consisted of doing dungeons until you had gear good enough to go into raids, and then farming gold to supply those raids. or grinding endlessly in the 3 battlegrounds for honor to get High Warlord.